So in this video, I'm going to explain my plan on a possible way to make a flamethrower exhaust. I have not tested this yet. I don't know if it works. There are flamethrower exhausts. This is mainly for a mini bike or a go-kart. I've seen a couple out there. The problem with them though is that either they look like a flamethrower was just attached to an exhaust pipe and does not look that good, or they simply just don't work. Usually the reason why they don't work is like right here. You'll have your exhaust pipe, your exhaust gases going here. Somebody injects propane right here. They mix, shoot out, and like usually somebody will have like a barbecue lighter here, and that'll go off to somewhere, and then they'll try to light it, but what'll happen is if they don't have the engine on, it'll light, but then once they turn it on, it won't, because there's no oxygen in here. It's all just exhaust gases, which, as we all know, does not have any oxygen in it. It's mostly carbon dioxide, I believe. So this is a kind of a different system on how I think it could be solved. So starting at the beginning, you have your propane tank. Pretty obvious what that's for. You have a pressure gauge. This is just to show how much propane you have in your tank and how much propane you have in your system. If you're low, it probably won't work. You have your main valve. Now your main valve is controlled. It controls how much propane goes into the system. So if you want a big flame, you turn on that thing all the way. If you want a little flame, then you just turn it on a little. You got to play around with that, and you know, your flames will change sizes based on how much that is turned in or out. So then we have two circuits right here. We'll start with this one. This is your pilot circuit, and so it basically will just provide a smaller amount of propane to keep a fire going in your exhaust. So you have a valve right here which would control how much propane is going into your propane or your pilot circuit. And so your pilot light, you want to be big enough so that it's not going to go out while you're doing, you know, whatever with it, and you don't want it to be too big so that it's burning up all your propane. You want it to be a nice size, so you want to be able to adjust it, so that's what that's for. You have a pressure gauge here to kind of just monitor that. You know, once you find that sweet spot, you'll know what it is, and you'll be able to look at it and, you know, make your adjustments pretty easily. And that will just dump back out into your main propane tube here. So our second circuit, our main circuit, is this solenoid. So a solenoid you can't adjust. You can only be wide open or closed. So we have the pilot circuit to make sure that this gets lit. So when you say press a button, it might be on your handlebars or on your steering wheel or wherever you want to put it on your mini bike or go-kart, when you press that button, it'll open, and all the pressure from this tank is going to come out here, and that pressure from the tank is governed by this valve right here. So once that opens, most of your propane is going to be going through here, and it's going to go back out this pipe. You'll have a little bit going through your pilot. That's fine. There's no harm in that. So next, it would come out here. Let me adjust the camera real quick. So next, you're going to come out to your exhaust tip. So basically what I have set up here is a four-way nozzle for the propane. Now the reason why I did that, this picture is kind of weird. I tried to make it 3D, but this picture does it better. As you can see, I'd have 4 propane nozzles, and in the middle here we have our exhaust. The reason I did this because if you had one propane nozzle, one big one, all that fire would be concentrated on one side of the exhaust, and I don't really like that. So now the tip basically is what distinguishes this exhaust from those exhausts that are just have a flamethrower attached to them. So your exhaust coming from the motor would come into this can. Now, for this first part, so like right here to right here, that is all just dedicated to exhaust cooling. So you're going to have cooling fins in here. You're going to have these cooling holes around here. And then once you it'll probably be like 2/3 or, I don't know, just towards the end, you'll have your propane nozzle. So this part right here would be this part. So your propane goes into here and gets distributed through those 4 propane nozzles. Now, the problem with the ones that don't work, as I said before, where they just, oh no, look at that, camera fell, that's nice. The problem I said before was the propane and the exhaust, there was no oxygen for it to burn. So when you create a propane flamethrower, you need to make sure you have air. So this kind of last third of the can would be dedicated to, these holes are dedicated to letting oxygen into the combustion chamber for your propane flamethrower. If you look up like how to make a flamethrower on YouTube, there are a couple of channels. You'll see that usually, here, let me flip this over. Usually they'll look something like this. They'll have a nice long pipe with some like thing on the end with a bunch of air holes. This is so that you can let in oxygen right here. So same concept on this. You have your propane coming in here and oxygen going in there. Now, the reason why we have it like this too is because your exhaust pipe is going to go all the way out to the end. So you're never having exhaust leaks going into this combustion chamber. It's all just going to kind of shoot out here so here's your exhaust air, or your exhaust, whatever. And then we have your fire. These aren't very good flames, but whatever. Then your fire is kind of surrounding it. So that is how this is all supposed to work. As I said, I have not tested it. I would like to put it on my mini bike. However, I have a bunch of work to do on that before I even think about doing a custom exhaust. So we'll see how that goes. If it does work, I'll post another video. Okay, that fell again. That might not be for a long time, so don't anticipate it too much. Thank you for watching this video, and if you try to build your own propane thing, let me know how it goes. Just leave a comment or a link to your video, and I'd like to see how it works. Thank you.